There's something I'd like to share with you, and to be honest, not everyone is going to like hearing it. Looking back, I've realized that one of the biggest financial mistakes many people make isn't a bad investment or a failed business. It's buying a house. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying owning a home is a bad idea. What makes it expensive is the way most of us decide to buy one. We buy with emotion, out of fear of missing out of pressure to settle down, because we believe it's the milestone every successful adult is supposed to reach. But very few of us stop and ask, is this really the right decision for me? Or am I just doing what everyone else is doing? I've seen people spend the next 30 years paying for a decision they made in just a few weeks. And in the end, they realized that what stressed them out was never the house itself, but the price they had to pay to keep it. Now, this video isn't about why you shouldn't buy a house. It's just one perspective. And perhaps, after watching this entire video, you'll realize that this was never just a story about real estate. It's about understanding why we make some of the biggest financial decisions of our lives, and how emotion often has more influence than we'd like to admit. Let me tell you about someone I'll call Mia. Mia did everything people tell you to do. She built a stable career, kept her credit spotless, said no to countless little luxuries so she could save for a down payment. Year after year, she did everything the responsible way. Then one Saturday afternoon, she walked into an open house. You know those moments when something just feels right? Hardwood floors, a little reading nook by the window, the kind of kitchen you see in magazines. It felt like her whole future was standing right there in front of her, waiting for her to say yes. So she stretched. Just a little. The mortgage was a bit more than she'd planned for, but she told herself, I'll figure it out. I always do. At first, everything was fine. But life always has twists and turns, whether for better or for worse. Property taxes went up. The roof started leaking. The HVAC failed at the worst possible time. Every repair came with a bill nobody had mentioned when she signed the papers. 3 years later, Mia owns the house she once dreamed about. But somehow, it doesn't feel like freedom anymore. Every paycheck disappears before she has a chance to enjoy it. Vacations have become, maybe next year. Dinners with friends turn into excuses because she's trying to save every extra dollar. And some nights, she lies awake in the dark, running the numbers over and over in her head, wondering whether she owns the house, or whether the house quietly ended up owning her. If that story feels uncomfortably familiar, I want you to know something. You're certainly not alone. More people than you realize have stood exactly where Mia is, chasing the dream of home ownership, only to discover that buying the house was the easy part. But living with the financial weight of it, that's the hard part no one really talks about. We grew up believing the same story. Not because anyone forced it on us, but because we heard it so many times that it simply became the truth. Rent is throwing money away. A house is an investment. Real adults own homes. That's the American dream. And to be fair, that story isn't completely wrong. For many people, buying a home becomes one of the best decisions they'll ever make. It gives them stability, security, and a place to build a life. But somewhere along the way, we forgot to tell the whole story. Because sometimes, the house that was supposed to give you freedom quietly becomes the reason you lose it. Freedom to take a chance on a better job. Freedom to move somewhere new. Freedom to breathe a little easier when life throws you an unexpected bill. Instead, every month becomes another payment. Every repair becomes another withdrawal from your savings. Every financial decision starts with the same question. Can we afford it after the mortgage? No one dreams about living paycheck to paycheck or expecting to feel trapped by the very thing that was supposed to make life feel more secure. But it happens. More often than people admit. Because that's the part no one puts in the brochures. It's the part no one mentions at the open house. And it's certainly not the part you see in the commercials. The longer I've watched people struggle with money, the more I've realized something. Most of the time, it isn't the house that gets them into trouble. It's the story they believed before they bought it. We rarely buy a home with spreadsheets. We buy with hope. Hope for a better life, a safer future, a place that finally makes us feel like we've made it. And hope has a funny way of making impossible numbers look reasonable. Sometimes, we're not even chasing the house. We're chasing the feeling that we're finally keeping up. A friend buys their first home. A coworker gets the keys to theirs. Social media fills your screen with beautiful kitchens and backyard barbecues. Without realizing it, home ownership stops feeling like a choice and starts feeling like proof that you're not falling behind. Then, once you've signed the papers, something else happens. The house slowly becomes part of who you are. So even when the payments get heavier, when the repairs never seem to end, when the numbers stop making sense, walking away no longer feels like changing a financial decision. It feels like admitting you failed. And that's a weight few people are willing to carry. I've learned not to judge anyone for that, because none of us are wired to make a 30-year decision with perfect logic. We're wired to seek safety, to belong, to build a life we're proud of. A home speaks to every one of those desires long before it ever speaks to our finances. Maybe that's why buying a house is never just about buying a house. So no, this isn't a warning against buying a house. It's a reminder to be careful about why you're buying one. Because a home isn't what gets people into trouble. It's the decision they make when emotion speaks louder than reality. A house you can truly afford, one that leaves room to breathe, to save, to enjoy your life, can become one of the greatest gifts you ever give yourself. But a house bought to prove you've made it, to keep pace with everyone else, to chase a version of success that isn't really yours, that same house can quietly become a burden you carry for years. In the end, it's not about the property, it's about the mindset you bring to the purchase. The address may look exactly the same, but the life waiting behind the front door can be completely different. So if you're standing at that crossroads today, this is what I'd hope you'll remember. Before you fall in love with the house, fall in love with the numbers. Know exactly what you can afford if life gets hard, not just if everything goes right. It's the numbers, not the beautiful kitchen or the perfect backyard, that will quietly shape your everyday life for years to come. Just ask yourself one honest question. Am I choosing this because it's right for my life, or because I'm afraid of being left behind? That answer is often more important than the interest rate. And if your heart says yes, but your finances say not yet, permit yourself to walk away. Not because you've given up on the dream, but because you're choosing a future where your home brings you peace instead of pressure. Life is already tough enough, so try not to turn your home, the peaceful place to return to after each day, into another battlefield. The older I get, the more I believe this. A house is just a house. It's not proof that you've made it, and it certainly isn't the finish line of a meaningful life. It's just one financial decision among many, and it deserves to be made with your eyes open, not just your heart, which is exactly why it deserves more than excitement. It deserves honesty. It deserves patience. And it deserves the courage to choose what's right for your future, not just what feels right today. Because the best home isn't the most beautiful one. It's the one that lets you sleep peacefully at night. So, how about you? I'd love to know. Did this change how you're thinking about your own house someday? Please share your perspective in the comments, okay? And if you appreciate honest conversations about money, life, and the decisions that quietly shape our future, I'd love to have you here for the next one.